Let's close this one out by bringing back a fan favorite, or at the very least, a host favorite, one of my favorite segments, and that is the Penguins Power Rankings. Last year, we did it every single week. It is something that is a cumulative grade, so it's not just who are the 5 best players of this week. It's who are the 5 best players as the weeks continue to build. It's a lot about momentum, not a lot about, hey, well, in the first week he was really good and he's been so-so since then. You're still going to drop because there's going to be players that are going to climb the standings, climb the rankings. And here's the other thing about power rankings. It is 100% my opinion who these 6 names are going to be. I'm doing 6 for the first one because it's the top 6 Penguins through 6 weeks of the 2025-26 season. In the future, the 6th man is essentially going to be the honorable mention because I always do that. So let's start with that. The honorable mention, aka the 6th man. I was going to put a goaltender in here no matter what. But the one that's been around the longest and the one that I think has been the most surprising, Tristan Jarry being good in October, is something we've seen before. Sergei Murashov, albeit making history in his second career start by getting a shutout in his first win, that's great. We all have high expectations for Sergei Murashov. I didn't know what to expect with Artur Shilovs, and he has been extremely good. Look no further than last Friday afternoon's game. They should have won that game, and it's 100% because he was playing as well as he was. And he's done that a handful of times this season where he has just taken over a game because the Penguins defensively have been better at points throughout this season. They play better team defense. They support better in their own zone. But there are still times where defense becomes optional, it feels, for the boys in black and gold. And when that has happened, more often than not this season, a goaltender has stepped up. And the goaltender that has played the most and stepped up the most has been Artie Shilovs, the Artie Party. So he is going to kick this off as my number 6, aka a placeholder for my honorable mention. Artur Shilovs, goaltender of the Penguins, gets that first slot. At number 5, and some people might want to put him up at number 3, at number 2, maybe even some people would put him at number 1. I think it would be bold to do so, but hey, everybody's excited about the teenager, right? Ben Kindle is number 5 on my Penguins Power Rankings this week. He is just so good. When you talk about the best third-line center the Penguins have had since Nick Bonino's initial run in Pittsburgh, not the 3 or 4 games after he got traded back in the 2020s, but the initial run, the Stanley Cup runs. Since then, there has not been a third-line center as good as him and or Ben Kindle. He's been so good, easily the Penguins' best option for third-line center in the organization, and he continues to impress. Even when he has a down game, he comes back the next one and he looks really good, and he plays so good in his own zone, and he creates so much in the offensive zone. The guy has 5 goals, 2 assists on the season, and his playmaking looks better than his goal scoring does throughout this entire season. So all that to say, Ben Kindle has been impressive, and he debuts on the power rankings at number 5. At number 4, somebody who, if there wasn't 3 players that have just played out of their minds this season, would have been up there in the top 3. A player that I think everybody does appreciate, but at the same time, almost forget how good he is and how it's not a given that this player is going to be able to play this well and play this consistently. And that's Brian Rust. Don't look now, but Brian Rust, who missed the beginning of the season, the first couple of games, due to an injury, didn't miss a beat. 15 points in 17 games, 5 goals, 10 assists, and he is just quietly. Everybody's talking about a couple players that we're going to mention here at the tail end of the power rankings, and rightfully so. But Brian Rust, a player that I heard on numerous occasions, his stock's never going to be higher. He's never going to replicate the season he had last year. It was a career year. If you think he's going to be able to do that again in his 30s, playing the minutes that he's playing, having the responsibilities that he's having, you're crazy. Well, the crazies had a point then, because all of a sudden, 15 points in 17 games puts Brian Rust on a career year trajectory. Now, whether or not he continues to do so remains to be seen. It's a long season. But in the first 17 games of the season, almost a quarter of the year, Bryan Rust has been brilliant once again. And while I think people do appreciate him, I think that we could go to another level of appreciation. He is number 4 on this list. And man, I really wish I could put him higher, but I can't because there's 3 players that have played out of their mind, starting with Erik Karlsson. He's at number 3. We don't need to belabor the point. He is a different player, completely different player than we have seen ever in his time in Pittsburgh. We've seen little spurts of, oh, that's what it could be. Oh, that's why. But this has been a consistent day in and day out, game in and game out effort that proves to you why Kyle Dubas made that trade in the first place. Why everybody believed that when Erik Karlsson came to the Penguins, it moved their bar substantially higher. Because that's what he's doing right now. He's raising the bar for the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's playing out of his mind. And just quite simply, I already mentioned it, he's a different type of player this year. He's at number 3. Now at number 2 and number 1, it's a razor thin margin. You can go either way. But again, it's my personal opinion on this. At number 2, 2 goals behind the league lead in goal scoring, on a pace for 51 goals this season, and the captain of your Pittsburgh Penguins, the number 2 ranked player on my power rankings, is Sidney Crosby. And yes, I could put him at number 1. It would make sense. I don't think anybody watching this would disagree with that. But at the end of the day, I think Evgeny Malkin deserves that number 1 spot. In a year where there has been so much speculation about what his future holds, in a year where there was not a lot of high expectations for him because, well, he's 39 years old. He has an extensive injury history and injuries to some pretty key areas, elbows, knees, that are going to significantly impact how a 39-year-old can play the game of hockey. And I think that not a lot of people had faith in who his line mates were. Opening night, he went out there with Anthony Mantha, coming off a torn ACL, an almost entirely missed season, and Justin Brazeau, somebody who had never really been considered anything more than a bottom 6 forward as a National Hockey Leaguer. Those 2 guys have stepped up, and so too has Evgeny Malkin, leading the Penguins with 23 points on the season. He is reinvigorated. He looks like he did a few years ago when everybody doubted him as soon as he signed that new contract extension. He came out, he scored 83 points in 82 games. All he's done this year is scored over a point per game and completely elevate the line that he's been playing on night in and night out. Anthony Mantha and Evgeny Malkin has been a match made in heaven. Justin Brazeau, before the injury, and Evgeny Malkin was a match made in heaven. Kevin Hayes on Sunday in Sweden looked really good next to Evgeny Malkin. You got to give props to the Russian machine. Evgeny Malkin, Gino, he is my number 1 on the Penguins power rankings. Top 6 Penguins through 6 weeks. It's led off with Evgeny Malkin. So to quickly run through my 6 here, honorable mention, aka number 6 player this week, is Artur Shilovs. Number 5 is the kid himself, Ben Kindle. Number 4, Mr. Underappreciated but always loved, Bryan Rust. Number 3, a different player in Erik Karlsson. Number 2, the captain who continues to defy everything about aging, Sidney Crosby. And speaking of defying aging, number 1 is Evgeny Malkin. Let me know in the comment section, what is your top 6 Penguins through 6 weeks? Did I get it right? Am I way off? Let me know in the comment section. But that's going to do it for this episode of The Tip of the Iceberg. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this one. Remember, you can find us on YouTube at Tip of the Iceberg. You could also find full episodes of Tip of the Iceberg on Nick Belsky on YouTube. And if you prefer audio versions, you can find it anywhere you get your podcast from. We'll see you guys next time.